Two pivotal games took place this past Saturday at the Sports Arena right here on Georgia State's campus. We are ready to talk Georgia State's basketball. This is Primetime Sports Talk. I'm the Deacon David Shilley. For the first time on Primetime Sports Talk, I'm sitting next to my good friend Rashad Milligan. Man, what's going on?
Oh, man, nothing much. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. Like I said, two very pivotal games for Georgia State against conference rival Appalachian State. And we're going to start off with the women's, man, shall we?
I love the women's.
So this game was very important because the women's team they are in 9th place, and we're going against Appalachian State, who sat in 8th place. Now, basically, Georgia State had already beaten Appalachian State, so a victory for Georgia State meant that they were going to get the tiebreaker and move into 8th place, putting them right where they needed to be to make the Sun Belt tournament in New Orleans, which features the top 8 teams. So Georgia State needed this win, unfortunately.
In shortest terms, winning, you're in.
Basically, it was like a pre-playoff game.
Winning, you're in.
Unfortunately, they didn't win. They lost 72-69. Their record dropped to 10-17 and 5-13 in the Sun Belt Conference, which officially means that they have 2 games left. Let's say they win out.
Yeah.
They're going to finish with a worse record than they did last year. So, like I said, it was a rebuilding year. I've said that in previous episodes, but it's still disappointing to come away with a loss, especially when you're not going to match your record from last year.
On a lighter note, 10-17 break squad. Gucci Man is coming home in a couple of months. But on a more serious note, the team is young, as we've all said the entire season. We saw a couple of bright spots throughout the season. Madison Newby obviously progressed so much throughout the season, and I'm really excited to see her in the future, what she's going to do for Panther basketball in this program. Any other comments there?
Yeah, well, okay, so you brought up Madison Newby, right? And
Madison
Newby is a very important player. She's a freshman. She's been starting all year. She came away with 18 points during this game versus Appalachian State. She showed up big, and it's not just that, but she also had 4 assists, and that may not seem big. Yeah. But in total, she has 95 assists on the season, which is number 1 in the Sun Belt, which is above Andrea Gamble, who is the back-to-back Sun Belt Player of the Year, and she's a senior. So Madison Newby is a straight baller, straight-up baller. Good game for her. Another good game for Makiba Ponder, 15 points for her, and then 16 points for Haley Guerin, who we've talked about a lot. She was injured and came back.
It's so great to see Makiba Ponder back on her feet. She's been struggling with her shot all season long. She came in with preseason expectation. Last season, she got the recognition she deserved. And it's just tough seeing Makiba Ponder struggle the way she has in 2016. Even this game, when just moving forward in the game, at the last minute when she just threw the ball away. Yeah. Can you just speak a little bit on that? I know Coach Baldwin Tenner said it's difficult to win the game when you commit 25 turnovers, but
Well, okay, so let's break it down then.
Yeah.
So last few seconds of the game. Now, this game was very, very, very close. We're talking about everything Appalachian State did, Georgia State did basically one better. So, except for the assist category. So 13 assists for Georgia State, 14 for Appalachian State. 11 steals for Appalachian State, but 12 for Georgia State, and then 4 blocks for Appalachian and 5 for the Panthers. But like I said, so very close game. Came down to the absolute last minute. Georgia State down by a few points. And they had a chance here, but Makiba Ponder turned the ball over. Terrible pass, just lost the ball out of bounds. And then they forced Appalachian State. They got a foul. Appalachian State shooting free throws. They make them. Georgia State's down by 3. And then the last play was very awkward. The way it was drawn up. They had Newby kind of top of the key. I guess she was looking to pass, but was running out of time. Yeah, and she just kind of threw it up. Ball didn't have a chance of making the net. So that's basically how Georgia State ended up losing a very tough game, and it was a heartbreaker.
Great crowd at the end of the game coming in for the men's final game. Unfortunately, the crowd was more than likely coming to see the men a little early. But it was a great crowd at the end. They were on their feet. They got on their feet. They chanted, "Let's go Panthers." I actually think that contributed to some of those late game mistakes. The team got a little too excited from the energy that the crowd was giving them. And perhaps that's what happened. But it's tough to see Morgan Jackson and Ashley Cole, 2 fighters, go out and finish their home careers like that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's bring this up. It was senior day this day. So Morgan Jackson was a senior, and so was Ashley Cole. So shout out to them. They played their last home game on Saturday. And, yes, like we've said, unfortunately it was a loss. But a good career, though, for Morgan Jackson and Ashley Cole.
Morgan Jackson, what a smart girl. I mean, I know that's off the court and that's pretty unrelated, but She averages near a 4.0 every single semester as a biology major. And on the court, she plays hard every game. We gave her a couple of game balls. She doesn't lead the team in points every single night, but she always brings it. And for that, we salute you, Morgan. She's seen a lot of different Panther teams, Gabby Moss and Alicia Andrews, and she's just stuck through it, this season with the youngins and the young guns, and played our heart out.
Definitely. And always showed support. She was always the one on the sideline yelling when she wasn't in the game. And when she was in the game, she was also showing some support to her teammates, always clapping her hands when mistakes were made. So shout out to her nickname is Mo Money. Shout out to Mo Money, man. It was a great career for her. And we're not going to leave out Ashley Cole, man. She had a fantastic career, too. It's sad to see them go. But, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And let's move on to the men's game, man. All right. So men's game, a little bit different scenario. Georgia State is already they're not in the Sun Belt tournament, as in they have not clinched a spot. However, what they are doing is trying to keep their spot in the tournament so they can go to New Orleans. They're going against Appalachian. They win against Appalachian State, as I previously mentioned, and they have 2 games coming up against the Louisiana team, so Monroe and Lafayette, 2 teams that are not easy. So during this final stretch, Georgia State really, really has to get on a roll, and they did. They beat Appalachian State 83-70.
Appalachian State, a great win against a team that beat them kind of badly in North Carolina. Isaiah Dennis keys to the Mercedes there. And North Carolina had his best game. I think he had about 17, 19 points. I can't recall right now, but we saw the Georgia State of November. We saw the Georgia State that we thought we would see all season in the preseason. So it was great to see them back in action. First half, Kevin Ware was skipping up the court, enjoying himself, smiling. Marcus Kreider, TJ Shipes, all of those guys were just enjoying it, having fun playing basketball again. That's what we love to see in the sports arena. Yeah,
and let's give a shout out to the seniors. You brought them up: Marcus Kreider, TJ Shipes, Jalen Brown, and Kevin Ware played their final home games in this final game against Appalachian State. And Kevin Ware came up big, man. 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 14 total points for Kevin Ware.
Kevin Ware. Obviously he's been struggling the last couple weeks. He's been a bit frustrated some nights in and some nights out. Before the season, if you remember, Kevin Ware set these standards, high standards for him. And, he just seemed to struggle living up to RJ or, whoever else was in his footsteps. And, now it just seems like he kind of cleared all of that out of his mind. Yep. All the expectation is gone because they haven't had, the middle of the season they thought they would. And he just played basketball, and he seemed like he enjoyed it, like I said earlier, and he loved it.
Yeah, he was very relaxed in this game, you could tell. Yeah. Super relaxed. And you also saw something that we haven't seen in a while from Jeremy Hollowell, who came away with 18 total points, led the team. He put the ball on the ground. And when I say that is he's a guy that can shoot threes. We know he can shoot threes. Yeah. He's a fantastic shooter. But he's 6'8".
He's the tallest one in the Sun Belt.
He is 6'8", and he was just trying to shoot threes.
Yeah, like Melo.
Yeah, and you're too big. When you put the ball on the ground and you drive, good things happen. So he had to continue. He has to start doing that, and he did that in this game, and it paid dividends.
Yeah. Jeremy Hollowell, definitely the biggest guy on the court, as I mentioned before. 6'8" in the Sun Belt. Most nights you're going to be the biggest guy on the floor. Drive it, man. There's jumpers. Drive it.
Yeah.
Let's get some easy points.
We have a lot of guys that can shoot on this team, but we need a guy that'll come in and that'll be able to put the ball on the ground. He can go from the perimeter straight into the paint, and he can do that. And I think it's a good balance between him and Jordan Sessions, because Jordan Sessions will take the 15-foot jumper.
Yeah.
So that when he goes to take that 15-foot, people might, the defense gravitates towards him, opening up Jeremy Hollowell. So if Jeremy Hollowell wants to take a three, he can. But at the same time, man, put the ball on the ground, start driving, get to the hoop. Good things will continue to happen. And Austin Donaldson, he only played 6 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
We've seen him progress a lot. We didn't see anything from him in this game, which is kind of interesting. Like the entire point guard situation has been very interesting for the team. We've had Isaiah Dennis get the keys to the Georgia State Mercedes. Then it was kind of Isaiah Williams. The team flows better when he's on the court. Then Austin Donaldson reminded Coach Ron Hunter of himself, except Ron Hunter had better hair. That's something that's actually what Ron Hunter said. But in this game, when it comes to point guards, Isaiah Williams ended up with the most with 33 minutes. So I guess Isaiah Williams was the guy for this game.
But
What's up?
Isaiah Williams was playing he's playing the 2.
Okay.
He's really playing more of the 2 on Saturday.
Okay. So we can make that point.
To the point guard's credit.
So then in your defense then,
yes.
Or to your point, who played the 1?
Isaiah Dennis.
Okay.
Isaiah Dennis, for the most part, played the 1, even though he only accounted for 12 minutes.
Okay.
Isaiah was really that point guard role, that distributor role, more so than Isaiah Williams, because Isaiah Williams has really been in this attack mode. I really like that from him. He's got a fire in his eye that I haven't seen from him all season, and I feel like it's what we've been waiting to see from Isaiah Williams since he's been able to play due to NCAA transfer rules. But a point of concern I want to bring up to you, David, is what about the second half play? It was something that we struggled with at the beginning of the season, even when we were on a roll. Come out the first half smoking, second half struggle a little bit. Georgia State was outscored by 6 in the second half by App State. Just speak a little bit on that going into this tournament.
So if we want to bring up some numbers, Georgia State shot 42.9%, so basically 43% in the second half compared to the first half where they shot 57% from the field. So they were way better in the first half than they were in the second half. But, I mean, let's be honest, the game was kind of over at halftime. I mean, not completely, but, it was. I mean, if we want to look at the first half, it was 49-30 at halftime. So Georgia State was up 19. And it doesn't matter really what team you are, on the college level, I should say. When you're up by 19 at halftime, you kind of get in this sort of kind of relaxed mode. You're not as tense anymore. You play a lot looser. You're not going to be in this, we have to keep going. Now, of course, you want to keep your foot on the gas pedal, okay? You don't want to pull an Atlanta Falcons on everything to where you build this big old lead up and then you just lose it somehow. And then somehow, some way, pull out a miraculous win unless it was 2015. But we're not here to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. We're here to talk about Georgia State. Georgia State did a fine job in the second. I mean, it wasn't the best. But it wasn't like this whole thing of I'm concerned about it. Now, the first half effort that we saw from Georgia State, they need to continue to do so in Louisiana. And if they are fortunate enough to make the tournament, if they play the way they played in the first half for the entire game in New Orleans, they may make a couple of upsets. Now, I don't know about Sun Belt Conference champions. I'm not going to say that. I mean, I even went as far to agree with Jared Oliver and say they're not even going to make the tournament because it really did look that way. It looked like they were set up to lose to Appalachian State again.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, the second half numbers, no, they were not as good. They were not as impressive. But, I mean, let's be real. They had to take their foot off the gas pedal just a little bit because that's just what happens when you're up by 19 and a half.
I mean, but how many times have you seen from this team not being able to put together a full game?
That's true.
Isn't that one of the problems of this team? I mean, even when they were having their losing streak, they had a great, strong second half comeback, and it just fell up short. Or they had a great, first half intensity, and then, they let it go in the second half. I think that's one of the problems of this team. And even though it was a win, and it was a good-looking win for the most part, you have to have that thought in the back of your mind going into tournament play in these last week of the season that, they still have to put together a full 40 minutes, and I haven't seen them from them yet since the month of November.
Okay, well, I see that point. If I want to bring up, just to be devil's advocate for a second, a complete game that I saw was possibly the home game versus Southern. Possibly. Now, they were down by 11 in that game, but the second half effort for them to come back and do everything they did, force overtime, and then win in overtime, I think that was a complete game because they were competitive in the first half, even though they did not have the lead.
They brought the intensity the first half.
Right.
I would give you that, yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't go back to say their last competitive game was like November. Yeah, I mean, November is a long time ago, and they didn't have a competitive game since. I mean, there's been a lot more than that. But I understand your concern because if you're going to play just one half and think you can just back up and then just expect everything to just fall into place, then no, that's not going to work. But at the same time, and just in this case, because they were up by 19, yes, they took their foot a little bit off the pedal. But they sort of kind of had the right to do so, even though you don't deserve any win in sports. You don't deserve to just beat a team. Because, I mean, they probably felt like they deserved to beat Appalachian State last time, and then they got whooped. Yeah. So, it makes sense, but just in this case, I don't really see it. Just in this one particular case. But if let's say they do this against Monroe and Lafayette, to where they have a good first half, bad second half, and they end up losing, then of course I'm going to say something. And if they're up by 1, to 10 points or something like that. Not even maybe 10. Let's just keep it within a couple of possessions. Yeah. So 1 to 5 points. Maybe it's tied at halftime, and then they go to halftime. They come out completely flat, and then we don't know what happened. Then, okay. Then I see, but this game, they were up by 19. They had the momentum. They had the crowd. It was kind of, in my mind, it was kind of Georgia State just needs to coast. So
you're saying it's not that deep?
In this game, no, it's not that deep. No. For this particular game, it was not that deep. They need to play a full game.
Yeah.
That goes for basically any sport on any team. You need to play a complete game. So Georgia State, yes. But for this game, you trying to dive into the 4-foot section of the pool.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying.
I guess it's just me as an Atlanta sports fan.
Oh, well, see, yeah, an Atlanta sports fan, that makes sense.
You can never feel too confident in anything.
Yeah, because you can think about a lot of different things. We done brought up the Falcons. You can bring up a lot of things.
You can bring up Georgia State from 2013 and 2014.
You can bring up any Atlanta sport. It don't matter which Atlanta team you cheer for. When your team has a comfortable lead, it's not that comfortable. Just trust me. Just trust me on that. But let's give out game balls. Let's start with the women's because we forgot to do it at the end of that segment. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this to you.
All right.
And then you can go ahead and grab this ball and give that game ball out.
This game ball goes to someone very special to us at Primetime Talk, PTT. She's a lady that's become very favorable to a particular member here at Primetime Talk. And I'm going to give it to Madison Newby. Madison, she plays hard. Even though she had, how many turnovers did Madison Newby have? She still had 6 turnovers.
She had 6. Yeah, she had 6 turnovers.
On the night.
Yeah.
18 points.
You can't argue with that.
18 points, 8 assists, or 8 rebounds, my bad, 4 assists.
Okay. I don't think this is really a hard decision. You talked about a favorable member, whatever you said about Primetime. He was talking about me. I've already said and broadcasted out. Madison Newby is my favorite player on the team. She's a freshman, but she plays super duper tough. She's always on the ground because she plays so hard. You can't help but to respect Madison Newby's game. She's a fantastic player, and when she gets to that senior year, my goodness, y'all better watch out. That girl gonna be something different.
Are you gonna
something special?
You gonna propose to her on the last episode?
I will not be proposing to Madison Newby. That will not be happening
sure about that?
At all. That is not. No, this is not love and basketball. I don't know why you even. Oh my gosh, this dude said propose. I'm worried about midterms. He's talking about proposing and stuff. Oh, hold on. Grab the ball back because we got to give
I got you.
Men's basketball game balls.
Men's basketball. I brought it up a little earlier. This man is a transfer student trying to find his way on campus, trying to find his way on the court all season long. I'm going to give it to you, Isaiah Williams. Mr. Sanford, Mr. Freshman of the Year in the SoCon in 2014. He's finally found his way this last week. At Southern, turned up, had about 22 points. Then again, came out with the same fire in his eyes, a fire in his eyes I've never seen from him before all season long. He's always seemed like a nonchalant guy on the court, but he really, really wanted to win that game for the seniors and the game for himself, and the game for the team to bring him into the tournament. So Isaiah Williams, hats off to you, game ball.
Okay. Great game by Isaiah Williams, but it was senior day.
It was.
So I'm going to have to give it to a senior, and that would be Mr. Kevin Ware.
Not Jalen?
No, not Jalen. Jalen hit, what did Doug say? His first 3 of the whatever it was.
Oh, he said how that 3 feel going in.
How did that 3 feel going in?
Well, that wasn't my first 3 I ever hit.
That's exactly what happened. So I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. So, no, I'm not giving it to Jalen, though. That's the bottom line. Kevin Ware gets it because I said 14 total points, 5 for 5 on the free throws, and he dunked on somebody.
He did.
He dunked.
I mean, it didn't count.
It didn't count because Isaiah Williams had an off-the-ball foul on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, that's what. It wasn't a charge. It was an offensive. Yeah, something.
Wow.
I didn't see it, but that was a call. But he dunked. I highlighted his name because I'm gonna call him out. Chris Burgess, you got dunked on by Kevin Ware. Yeah, Chris Burgess, number 10 for Appalachian State. You're about this tall.
The midget.
I'm sitting down and I'm taller than you.
Uh-oh.
But you are stronger than me. I'm gonna give you that. You big.
And he does look like he's about 40. He looked like he could be my uncle.
He did.
Yeah, give me some birthday presents when he comes by to Atlanta.
I mean, that's cool if he does do that. I didn't see him looking like an uncle. I just saw him looking like Kevin Hart on some.
He had the big beard. You know, he kind of reminded me of Leonard Fournette.
I didn't see the beard. I saw him get dunked on. That's what I saw.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and give this ball to Kevin Ware and anti-game ball to Chris Burgess because you got dunked on by Kevin Ware. Not that that's a bad thing to get dunked on, but.
He used to be booming in high school, Kevin Ware. Have you ever seen his high school tape?
I have seen his high school tape.
Great dunker in high school.
Great dunker. But we haven't seen him really, like, dunk.
Don't do it in college.
In college?
In college, yeah.
And he got, like,
that was nasty.
He really elevated and got that dunk. So shout out to Kevin Ware. Shout out to Isaiah Wiggins. And a double shout out to Madison Newby, who I will not be proposing to.
Joy Jones.
Joy Jones?
Joy from Appalachian State.
You give her a shout out.
Georgia girl had 28 points. All right, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. I just had to throw that in. Georgia girl. You had to shout out the hometown girl.
All right, shout out to the Georgia girl. I'm the Deacon David Sheila. This is Rashad Milligan. We will see you next time right here on Primetime Sports Talk.